Have you ever been curious about pharmacy residencies, specifically community residencies, or even how to position yourself to do a residency? Well, today I have the true homie, Nancy Dow. She's a community resident and we met through my live stream. What's interesting about her story is that she got a residency without high grades. So if you're curious about how to position yourself when you're meeting recruiters, this is the video for you. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Take care. Okay. 3, 2, 1, and we're live. So today I got a very special guest, someone that you would probably be very interested in. I got the one and only a community pharmacy resident, Nancy Dow.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing today?
Good.
So it's pretty funny. Like, how did we first meet?
Well, I first reached out to Kevin. I saw one of his live streams. And I just kind of said, like, hey, see you around. And then I didn't actually think we were going to see each other around because we don't work in the same area. Mm-hmm. However, we ended up meeting at a health screening where I had to go up to LA. And he happened to be there, too.
Yeah, and that was the first time we met. And I was like, no lie, I was like actually kind of like, at the time, I was actually asking people to do interviews. I was like, you know what? I think you make a really good guest, honestly. Just because you have that like I like interviewing people that are not super traditional and stuff, and you got that little hint of ratchet in you or something, you know?
A little bit.
A hint of ratchet. So yeah, I just thought it would be really cool because here we have a community pharmacy resident and whatnot, and who is just really down to earth, and it's kind of hard to find that sometimes, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me ask you. I'll throw you an easy question first. What exactly is a community residency?
Right. So the most common question that I get from students is like, why don't you just go out and work? Right. Because I could have gone out and worked, but I could have made a lot more money if I went out and worked. However, the difference is that a residency in general is all about your learning, whereas a job, yes, I can go do essentially sort of the same things, but that's me signing a contract saying that for 40 hours a week, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, right? Anything else that I want to do, I have to find my own time in addition to that 40 hours a week to kind of go out and pursue different interests, even pharmacy-related interests that I would have. However, in a residency, all they do is like any learning opportunity that they have, they push it towards you because that's why you're there. Yeah. So community pharmacy residency is a lot of clinical, like direct patient care. So I have like a clinic site. A lot of business and admin, more so than other residencies. Other residencies, you just get like a block of it, whereas I get it throughout the whole entire year. Yeah. And then there's a really huge like teaching component too. I get that every single week, and you kind of gear it like depending on how much you want or how in depth you want to go. You just ask for more projects. So if I want to go do more like academia stuff, I just ask for it, and it's kind of like all those opportunities are more funneled. Yeah.
So what does your like day to day look like? I mean, or more importantly, because you probably do something different every day, what does your weeks look like?
So a typical week for me, on Monday, I am at the corporate office. I'm doing whatever it is that needs to be done there, learning more so the ins and outs of the business. And then on Tuesdays, I'm at a clinic site. So that's my kind of AmCare experience. Wednesday and Friday, I'm at the pharmacy. So that's just me learning the ins and outs on a store level. Whereas on Monday, I was more so like the whole division of all the stores and what needs to happen. And then on Thursdays, I'm at the college doing like a teaching certificate.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it sounds like you sort of incorporate the academia side, the business side, and you have a clinic side. That's really cool. And I think one of the things that I always wondered about was like, why would you choose a community residency over something else, you know?
Right. So it depends on what you're interested in. A lot of people, there's like a general residency, right, where you're kind of inpatient in the hospital. You do like a block of family medicine, like a block of like critical care, a block of this, a block of that. However, I already know I don't like inpatient stuff. How
did you figure that out? Like,
I just don't thrive in that environment. Like, I have no idea what's going on. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, I like talking to patients, and I like when they're like ambulating, so they're like fun. You can joke around them a little bit more. Whereas
Yeah.
like in a hospital, they just like had a near-death experience. It's not much fun.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like very serious, you know what I mean?
Right.
All the time.
And one of the biggest differences is that like in a community clinic setting, most of your time is spent talking with patients, whereas inpatient, most time is spent talking with like your peers, like other nurses and doctors and pharmacists. However, I feel like I thrive more in a community setting, and I think, I don't know, people who enjoy community should be in community. There's a lot of community pharmacists that just kind of don't really enjoy what they do. And I think it kind of slows down our progress just a little bit.
Yeah. What was your first like community experience? Do you remember?
Yeah, so I used to work, I used to be a technician for CVS, and then
AKA the Chinese sweatshop.
A little bit. CVS isn't for everyone. Some people love it. Some people love it. Some people don't.
I think there's a lot of good lessons though. Like I learned from my time at CVS, like all that time. It really teaches you how to hustle really, really, really hard, and like the business strategy behind it. I love it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it teaches you how to be fast and efficient. And then, but it just wasn't the company for me. I did a year there as technician, and then I started pharmacy school. I did a year there as an intern.
Oh shit.
And then I quit. I was just like, this is not happening. I was like in pharmacy school. Nothing was like working out the way I wanted it to. And so I was just trying to change everything. I was like, I'm gonna quit my job. I'm like, go do this. I'm gonna cut my hair off, like all those things. And then
cut your hair off.
Yeah, I had like this quarter life crisis where I was just like writing in this journal, and they had like quotes in there, and I read a quote like "Forever is composed of now." I was like, yeah, it is. And I woke up next day. I like, quit my job. I like got a tattoo. I like cut my hair.
You got a tattoo
of that quote.
Oh shit!
Impactful, impactful.
Damn. See, this is what I was talking about. Like, yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So it wasn't really for me. And then I was jobless for like a year. And then at that point, I was trying to get a job in a hospital just because I thought like, oh, I'm just a student. It's like no commitment, right? It's just like there to learn. However, none of the hospitals wanted me. I like put my application out, but no one really called me back. Like the VA called me back, but then I never heard back from them like ever again after the interview. So I'm like, whatever. But I still enjoyed like going to pharmacy conferences and just doing like my own little thing. And so I ended up going to a pharmacist association kind of conference. I went to a career panel just to kind of hear what people had to say. And then I got recruited there by Walmart. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they just went up. Like, I was telling them how bad of an intern I was at CVS. I was like, I could not do anything. Like, nothing could I do. But he was like, Nancy, I like your attitude. You want to go work for Walmart? I'm like, yeah, I'll work for Walmart. But it was like the best thing that's ever happened.
That charisma. I can't say it. Charismatic. There we go.
I don't know if it's really charisma. It was just me like being stupid. He was like, I like that.
What's the biggest difference you noticed between like Walmart and something like CVS?
I mean, at the end of the day, we're doing the same things. It's the culture that really changes. So, I mean, at CVS, kind of like what you said, it's all about efficiency. We're trying to get things out. And that's like any retail community setting is about being efficient. However, at Walmart, I felt like they weren't really hounding me on metrics. They weren't like, I could make mistakes and feel okay about it. That it was all a learning experience. So like at CVS, I made like mistakes like every day, like just stupid stuff like all the time. Like I don't know
what kind of stuff did you like fuck up?
I just like couldn't do anything. I just wasn't good at anything. Like I'll be typing a prescription, we're gonna open at like 9, and he goes like, Nancy, you know we close at 6, right? I'm like, chill. Like, I'll get in, okay. But I was just like really poor, and then like sometimes people would drop like C2 prescriptions that was like so fraudulent I wouldn't catch it. I was like, oh yeah, you need like 253 Ritalins, like feel ready in 20 minutes. I'm like, no, it was not ready.
Damn.
But through all the mistakes, I learned like how to like conflict resolution. Or like, oh yeah, I know I told you like 20 minutes. They come back, they're like super angry. I'm like, okay, let me like diffuse the situation because I screwed up the first time.
Yeah.
A lot of valuable lessons there. People are always mad.
But I think that's important though, when you're actually like learning how like community pharmacy works and whatnot, having that buffer and being very forgiving. Like I think it's easy like for me as like a farm manager to just like yell at my tech and be like, you fucked up, you know? Right. But to have like a lot more passion and really focus on the learning and stuff, I think that's like in a grocery chain for me, like it's a lot more accommodating for that rather than CVS where like I literally don't have enough time to like take a piss or anything like that.
Yeah. So like, that's the big difference between like a grocery community chain and like a regular retail place. Like people go into CVS or Walgreens with like the intent of picking up a prescription or intent of dropping off a prescription.
Yeah.
Whereas like community center, they're like, oh, I'm just going to go grocery shop. Like, oh, I also have this prescription. Like, let me go fill it while I'm here.
Yeah.
So it's different that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
Let me ask you, what was your pharmacy school? Well, let's go before that. Where do you grow up? Because you have a very interesting accent. That was the first, like during our pre-interview, that was the first thing I caught. I was like, the heck? She sounds kind of Southern, but she's not. I don't know what kind of accent it is.
Not really Southern. I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. So that's where I grew up. A lot of people think I'm from California. I think it's because I'm coming out here and I'm Asian. They're like, oh, did you like grow up here? Is that you're coming back home? Like, no, this is not home. Yeah. To me. But
that's so funny. So, when did you like first become interested in pharmacy?
Well, my aunt was a pharmacist and my parents told me to do pharmacy. And I was like, okay.
like every other Asian parent.
Exactly. But it was, they told me to do pharmacy school. Like, I was like, oh, let me go become a doctor. And they're like, no, Nancy, don't become a doctor. I think
really?
Yeah, they told me not to become a doctor because it's too stressful and it takes too long.
Yeah.
So she was like, go do pharmacy school. I'm like, all right, like I can do school. Like it's another 4 years. Like that doesn't really matter to me. But then once you actually start pharmacy school and then things start catching up, you're like, oh crap, like what did I sign up for? Not necessarily that it was difficult, but then when your emotions catch up, you're like, this is not exactly what I'm interested in. I'm like, man, I should have like rebelled. I should have like flipped some tables or like something.
So your family had a huge impact on your actual career choice, huh?
Yeah, they were the only influencers. Like, just do it. I'm like, okay, like I'll go and I'll do it. But then like eventually things start falling into place. Like I wasn't really good in school. Like I didn't get good grades or anything. I got like 30% on like exams and I was just like, no, but I'm accountable for own learning. Like I like learning, but I just didn't know it by test date, but I knew it by finals. Yeah. And that's what really matters. So you know it by finals. So I mean, I was always accountable for my own learning. I do enjoy it. I just enjoy learning on like my own timeline. So
what sort of things do you enjoy learning about?
So I really always enjoyed going to like pharmacy conferences, all those like really not gimmicky, but those really lame, like, oh, like write down your mission statement and like going to career panels and just like listening to other people and like their advice. I always really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Clinical stuff, there's not anything that really like comes out at me like, oh, this is like the most interesting thing ever. However, like I like the aspect of direct patient care and me like talking to patients and really making an impact that way. A lot of times we make an impact, it's not necessarily because I taught them all these drug things. It's just more so like you're friendly and they like to talk to you and enjoy your company.
Yeah, a lot of it, like I'm just like you. I was never Rokai. I was like low-kai, man.
Yeah, I was no-kai. No-kai.
But yeah, just like you, I was never really into like memorizing facts and stuff, but I always really enjoyed learning. I was like showing you all the freaking books I have in my room.
Yeah.
But one thing I just like you, I really enjoy the soft skills of like pharmacy and stuff. That's what I really like and whatnot. So that's cool. So tell me about your pharmacy school experience.
Pharmacy school is fun. I mean, it was alright, but you know, because my heart wasn't in it at first.
Yeah.
But I mean, the first year was kind of rough. I didn't really like me trying to find my footing. More so as a personal thing. Like my parents, like all the time at undergrad, they're driving me like pharmacy school, and they're like guiding me and like telling me to do this and that. And then suddenly pharmacy school started, and like they just stopped talking. Like they just told me to do nothing. Then I was on my own. But not only was I on my own, like I'm younger than most people in my class. And then like
how much younger were you?
I'm
than your class. You don't have to announce your age on camera. But...
I'm 24 right now.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I interviewed for pharmacy school when I was 19, and then I got in. By the time I started in the fall, I was already 20.
Oh shit.
So I was a lot younger, and everyone else was like, 24, 25, like my age now.
Yeah.
Like getting settled, like this is what they want, like they're pretty sure of themselves. whereas like I'm still trying to figure it out. So it was hard to find people who were like in the same life stage as me.
Yeah.
So,
What are the rest of your friends doing right now?
working in a community setting. So I was only close to like a couple of girls. Like we're all kind of friends, like acquaintances. However, I was only close to like two girls, and they're in the community setting right now. They didn't do the residency route.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah. I think like one of the reasons why I didn't do residency was because I sold out, man. I needed the money. I knew right from the beginning, pharmacy's not for me, man. I was just like, man, I want to like invest in businesses and stuff like that rather than going the pharmacy route.
You can do that through pharmacy.
I guess, but I don't know, man. Like, I just feel very burnt out from pharmacy. I spent the last dude, ever since my first job, or actually my first job in college was like pharmacy. I've been doing pharmacy ever since. And it gets really tiring sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets you tired, but I feel like residency is good because it keeps my momentum going. And then we'll see what happens once we're done.
Yeah. What was so okay, you're in pharmacy school, you go through pharmacy school, and you're trying to look for residencies and stuff. What's that process like? How do you go about finding your finding the different types of residencies and stuff, or what's that whole process like?
Right. So I was a little bit late to the bandwagon. So ASHP, American like health system, I don't know what they are. I just know they have the expo.
I actually don't know what ASHP is.
There's a lot of acronyms. No one really knows what they stand for. But yeah, they have like this mid-year conference that has this huge expo of residencies. So also on their website, they have a directory of all residencies, like all like accredited residencies. That's like the accrediting body. And I just went down like state by state and looked at all of their like community programs.
Let me ask you this really quick. What does accreditation mean?
So accreditation, essentially, there's like a governing body that people think is important in pharmacy, I guess. And they have all these standards of residency saying like, after residency, you should be able to do like X, Y, and Z. And to get you there, you need to do X, Y, and Z, right? Just to make sure that we are standardizing all the educational experiences so that we know that once someone finishes a residency, that our competency level is at a certain place.
Yeah, gotcha. So how did you go about so you went on the website, you're looking at different residencies. So how do you go about choosing it and selecting it?
Choosing it, I mean, it's kind of difficult. You can only read so much about it online. And then you can reach out to like the current resident, like, hey, like, how's your experience? Usually they're a little bit more candid with you. When you ask a question, they're more likely to be honest with you. You can also email the directors if you wanted to. Just be like, oh, it seems like you have a robust experience in like teaching. Can you like tell me more about that? But what really narrowed it down was, so when I went to mid-year, I had like a list of all these places I wanted to talk to. Once you actually go to the booth and talk to them, it's like completely different. Things that seem like really good online, like it has everything you want. And then you talk to them, and you're like, they're really weird, right?
You feel the vibe, right?
Yeah. Like there's one program that I really liked, but I talked to a resident and she wasn't really like, because they have to sell it too, right? A lot of my time I just spent like selling the residency, like, oh, this is what I do. It's like a lot of fun, which is fine. But some people are just like really awkward. And then they don't really say anything that resonates with you. And then it's even worse when it's potentially by the director, where they don't have anything meaningful to tell you either. So I'm like, this is weird. Like, they'll say stuff. I was like, oh, what's like, something you wish you could change about the residency? Because we're all about like improving and changing. And they're like, nothing. It's perfect. I'm like, really?
That's bullshit, man.
And then the directors, I'll ask the director, I was like, oh, what's something you want to like improve? And they're like, I mean, like, it's great. I'm like, this is not.
Yeah.
So like I think they tend to forget like changing it doesn't mean that something's bad. Changing it means you're listening to whoever's going through the process, which means they're not going to listen to me, right? If I don't like something and they think everything's great, like they're just going to tune me out.
Oh, that's true. So other than like, it sounds like having those soft skills were really important to you, like of working with a team that you just really got along with, and having a voice that actually matters. That's the second thing. Were there any other factors that really you're looking for when you're going booth to booth?
I mean, because of accreditation standards, things start to sound very similar after a while, right? Because they say like, for you to have accreditation, you have to do these things. So everyone's doing essentially the same thing. They're just like tweaking things here and there that's unique to them. So like at the core of every residency is about you like expanding your clinical skills. Everything else around it kind of determines what program you want to go to, right? Like if you really want teaching, like you have to go to the program that has more teaching. Or if you really want like business and admin, you have to like tease out which experience is going to give you that. Because every experience will, but it's just the depth of knowledge that you can obtain. You have to tease that out. But it was more so because everything started sounding the same. I just went off of the resident. I was like, if I like you and they liked you, hopefully that would extend to me, right? Like if we like each other and we all like get along, like let's just go off of this vibe and see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I guess, oh shit, I just lost my train of thought because I was like, fuck. Okay. 3, 2, 1, and we're live. So today I got a very special guest, someone that you would probably be very interested in. I got the one and only a community pharmacy resident, Nancy Dow.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing today?
Good.
Yeah. So it's pretty funny, like how did we first meet?
Well, I first reached out to Kevin. I saw one of his live streams and I just kind of said like, hey, see you around. And then I didn't actually think we were going to see each other around because we don't work in the same area. However, we ended up meeting at a health screening where I had to go up to LA and he happened to be there too.
Yeah, and that was the first time we met. And I was like, no lie, I was like actually kind of like, at the time I was actually asking people to do interviews. I was like, you know what? I think you make a really good guest, honestly. Just because you have that like I like interviewing people that are not super traditional and stuff, and you got that little hint of ratchet in you or something, you know?
A little bit.
A hint of ratchet. So yeah, I just thought it would be really cool because here we have a community pharmacy resident and whatnot, and who is just really down to earth, and it's kind of hard to find that sometimes, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me ask you, I'll throw you an easy question first. What exactly is a community residency?
Right. So the most common question that I get from students is like, why don't you just go out and work? Right? Because I could have gone out and work, but I could have made a lot more money if I went out and work. However, the difference is that a residency in general is all about your learning, whereas a job, yes, I can go do essentially sort of the same things, but that's me signing a contract saying that for 40 hours a week, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, right? Anything else that I want to do, I have to find my own time in addition to that 40 hours a week to kind of go out and pursue different interests, even pharmacy-related interests that I would have. However, in a residency, all they do is like any learning opportunity that they have, they push it towards you because that's why you're there. Yeah. So community pharmacy residency is a lot of clinical, like direct patient care. So I have like a clinic site. A lot of business and admin, more so than other residencies. Other residencies, you just get like a block of it, whereas I get it throughout the whole entire year. Yeah. And then there's a really huge like teaching component too. I get that every single week, and you kind of gear it like depending on how much you want or how in depth you want to go, you just ask for more projects. So if I want to go do more like academia stuff, I just ask for it, and it's kind of like all those opportunities are more funneled. Yeah.
So what does your like day to day look like? I mean, or more importantly, because you probably do something different every day, what does your weeks look like?
So a typical week for me, on Monday, I am at the corporate office. I'm doing whatever it is that needs to be done there, learning more so the ins and outs of the business. And then on Tuesdays, I'm at a clinic site. So that's my kind of AmCare experience. Wednesday and Friday, I'm at the pharmacy. So that's just me learning the ins and outs on a store level. Whereas on Monday, I was more so like the whole division of all the stores and what needs to happen. And then on Thursdays, I'm at the college doing like a teaching certificate.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it sounds like you sort of incorporate the academia side, the business side, and you have a clinic side. That's really cool. And I think one of the things that I always wondered about was like, why would you choose a community residency over something else? you know?
Right. So it depends on what you're interested in. A lot of people, there's like a general residency, right, where you're kind of inpatient in the hospital. You do like a block of family medicine, like a block of like critical care, a block of this, a block of that. However, I already know I don't like inpatient stuff.
How did you figure that out? Like,
I just don't thrive in that environment. Like I have no idea what's going on. It doesn't make sense to me. Like I like talking to patients, and I like when they're ambulating, so they're like fun. You can joke around them a little bit more. Whereas like in a hospital, they just like had a near death experience. It's not much fun.
Yeah,
right.
It's kind of like very serious, you know,
right,
all the time.
And one of the biggest differences is that like in a community clinic setting, most of your time is spent talking with patients, whereas inpatient, most time is spent talking with like your peers, like other nurses and doctors and pharmacists. However, I feel like I thrive more in a community setting, and I think, I don't know, people who enjoy community should be in community. There's a lot of community pharmacists that just kind of don't really enjoy what they do, and I think it kind of slows down our progress just a little bit.
Yeah. What was your first like community experience? Do you remember?
Yeah, so I used to work. I used to be a technician for CVS, and then
AKA the Chinese sweatshop.
A little bit. CVS isn't for everyone. Some people love it. Some people love it. Some people don't.
I think there's a lot of good lessons though. Like I learned from my time at CVS, like all that time. It really teaches you how to hustle really, really, really hard, and like the business strategy behind it. I love it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it teaches you how to be fast and efficient. And then, but it just wasn't the company for me. I did a year there as technician, and then I started pharmacy school. I did a year there as an intern.
Oh shit.
And then I quit. I was just like, this is not happening. I was like in pharmacy school. Nothing was like working out the way I wanted it to. And so I was just trying to change everything. I was like, I'm gonna quit my job. I'm like, go do this. I'm gonna cut my hair off, like all those things. And then
cut your hair off.
Yeah, I had like this quarter life crisis where I was just like writing in this journal, and they had like quotes in there, and I read a quote like "Forever is composed of now." I was like, yeah, it is. And I woke up next day. I like, quit my job. I like got a tattoo. I like cut my hair.
You got a tattoo
of that quote.
Oh shit!
Impactful, impactful.
Damn. See, this is what I was talking about. Like, yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So it wasn't really for me. And then I was jobless for like a year. And then at that point, I was trying to get a job in a hospital just because I thought like, oh, I'm just a student. It's like no commitment, right? And just like there to learn. However, none of the hospitals wanted me. I like put my application out, but no one really called me back. Like the VA called me back, but then I never heard back from them like ever again after the interview. So I'm like, whatever. But I still enjoyed like going to pharmacy conferences and just doing like my own little thing. And so I ended up going to a pharmacist association kind of conference. I went to a career panel just to kind of hear what people had to say. And then I got recruited there by Walmart. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they just went up. Like, I was telling them how bad of an intern I was at CVS. I was like, I could not do anything. Like, nothing could I do. But he was like, Nancy, I like your attitude. You want to go work for Walmart? I'm like, yeah, I'll work for Walmart. But it was like the best thing that's ever happened.
That charisma. I can't say it. Charismatic. There we go.
I don't know if it's really charisma. It was just me like being stupid. He was like, I like that.
What's the biggest difference you noticed? So you're talking about like the focus on learning on residencies and stuff. Now that you've tried like a bit of academia, a bit of like these small things, what do you feel very strongly toward now?
That's the $1 million question.
You're still figuring it out?
I am still figuring it out. And a lot of people, I think, doing residencies haven't figured it out either. Like, we'll go to the interview saying like, oh yeah, this is like what I want. But things change all the time. Like, even when we're in school, like, oh, I'm going to like rank all these rotations because I want to do like psychiatry or like I want to do peds, and then you go and you find out that you don't even like it at all. So fortunately for me, I feel like the problem isn't because I don't like anything, it's because I like everything too much. So I just have to kind of pick and choose what I think I would be a better fit in, which we'll see what happens.
So far, if you were to give an answer, what would it be?
I I think I want to pursue academia. I like being around like students and like talking to them, like teaching them like practical things that no one really taught me in school. And I think it's really important for like pharmacy students to have someone, not that everyone else isn't personable, but have someone that's like not a 4.0 and like wasn't like super involved and didn't
Someone
have
who's like loci or something.
yeah, someone loci. Because a lot of students like they don't think that they can apply for residency because they don't have like the things that everyone says that you need to have, but that's not necessarily true. Like I think you can get pretty far with like the soft skills you're talking about, right? Like how you like interact with people. That I think that outshines a lot of things. Because a lot of students, like the students in school that were like the golden students that did everything right, was on like national committees. Those were students that didn't match anywhere.
Why do you think that's the case?
That I don't know, right? Because they tell you like everything that they tell me wasn't really applicable to me. I was like, oh, they like someone with like leadership positions, and you know they like have above average grades, and they have like all these things. Like I swear to you, California gas prices are higher than my GPA. Like I don't I don't have anything. Like even my director, like who was like, oh yeah, we're looking for like X, Y, and Z. I didn't really have them. But sometimes what they're looking for is like deeper than what's on your CV. And I think it shows sometimes when students spend their whole time like building a CV and not like building character. They're just doing things to write it down. And they can't really talk to anyone. Like they haven't changed throughout the 4 years. So
I think that's a huge thing, like which is like really suppressed in like the professional world and stuff. It's like having a unique character or a unique like voice, you know, because after a while, like, yeah, there's a whole fucking list of these people who excelled academically and stuff. What makes you really different? And I think this is something that you're speaking about earlier. Like one of the differentiating factors is actually having those soft skills and showing your personality and stuff.
Yeah.
But how do you go about like showing that personality in like a professional setting? I feel like that's really hard sometimes.
I mean, that's something I'm still working on. I'm not like the most like mature person in the world. Like mature is like the last word someone would use to describe me. I just kind of go about and say whatever I want. But I think that was something when they look at you as a whole, they're like, okay, like here are her shortcomings. Like what can I actually deal with? Right. So my shortcoming is that like I'm like this. I like don't really filter my words, but my strengths were that like I'm willing to learn. Like I know community pharmacy like relatively well. I like to like spot things that need to have improvement, and I like go and I just kind of get it done. So that was something that they liked that I couldn't really showcase on paper, right? They have to talk to me first so they can understand like my mentality and how I go about things.
Yeah.
But that just kind of happened. I mean, it's still kind of mystery why I got chosen, but like I'm here.
Have you ever just like straight up asked like, hey, why did you choose me?
I did, but I was thinking he's lying. I know he's not lying, but like he'll say things like, oh, I think, you know, community pharmacy needs someone that's like not complacent with how things are now, right? Like I'm not a very complacent person. I people call it complaining, but it's not really complaining because I'm trying to
identifying problems.
Yeah, strategically critiquing.
Yeah.
And then you go and you do something about it, which the residency allows you to do because, you know, I'm working with like people from corporate. And I'm like, oh, I think this needs to change, or like, we can do this better. Or like there's projects that's like inherent to the pharmacy. Like we have a quality improvement project. So I'm like trying to find a way to like make our workflow like faster. Or there's like a business plan project where I'm trying to like figure out how we can like strengthen our business, like reach out to more patients and all those things. So that kind of stuff to me is fun.
Yeah. That optimization. Dude, I think that's like one of the most fun things actually. But comparing your experience to my experience, like working and stuff, I feel like sometimes I don't have enough autonomy over my pharmacy. And it's like those changes can be really hard sometimes, you know?
Yeah. And that's the thing with autonomy. Like, I feel like being in a community setting in general, if you think about like all the laws, it affects us the most, right? We're like highly regulated. And then when it comes to working in a community setting, we have all these rules we have to follow because we want to be an asset, not a liability. Yeah. And you become a liability when you don't follow the rules. So I don't know. We're a little teeter-totter.
Yeah. let me ask you so far. So you're in the middle of your residency right now. What are
Yeah.
some of the most rewarding things and the biggest pain in the asses? Or not biggest pain in the asses, but things that maybe were unexpected for you.
I mean, things that were unexpected, like I signed up to do residency. I knew it was gonna be like a huge workload, so I don't mind the workload. What was unexpected was the type of work I would be doing. So a lot of it's just like all these emails. Like I have like all these different email accounts I have to check all the time and like answer back to people. And I don't know, it's just like some weird, like very small tasks which you have to think about, like, okay, am I like, does this contribute to my learning or does it not? Right? Like you do it like the first couple of times just to kind of get your feet wet and understand what it's about, but then you have to start, like, now that I'm halfway through, I'm trying to like streamline my experiences, right? Like I only want to kind of choose things that will contribute to an experience that will allow me to pursue X, Y, and Z after the residency. But it was just, I don't know, the type of work, like you never really know what you're going to be doing when you sign up for a residency. Like you have a general idea, but you never really know. But I don't hate it.
What did you expect, like going into a residency? What did you think it would be like?
I don't know what I was expecting. I just did it. No, because honestly, like midyear, that conference happens in the beginning of December. I literally didn't decide to go or even like pursue a residency hardcore until like 2 or 3 weeks beforehand. So I was like really late to the bandwagon. Like I bought my ticket. I like signed up to become a member because then you get a discount on like admission. So I was like, all right, like let me do that. But then I don't really know what I was expecting, but I don't regret it.
How did you prepare for that then? Like, did you prepare, or were you just like, fuck it, YOLO, I'm gonna just go in and shoot
a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like things you have to prepare is always like the CV, right? Just making that look pretty. Then like a letter of intent, making that look good. But then everything else, you're like, okay, if you don't like me on paper and you don't give me an interview, I'm like, what am I gonna do? Right?
That's
So I can prepare as well as I can on paper, and I send it, and then whoever wants to, email me for an interview, like they email me. But yeah, I mean, rejection happens. I applied to like 9 places and only got interviews at 4 or 5.
That's pretty good though.
Maybe. I don't know. Like some people, there's like people in your hospital that get like 13 interviews. I don't know how they do it.
But you just need one though.
Yeah, you only need one. Well, you need one, and then you need them to like you back.
Yeah, that's true.
Then
that's true.
That's kind of hard.
When you're like cramming your CVA letter of intent and stuff, were there any like specific points that you were focused on?
Well, I mean, I did a lot of research on what the letter of intent needed to be. I mean, I've never wrote one before, and with my CV, I never like really had to make one unless it was like for school, just like for some stupid exercise that they made us do, because like the job opportunities that I had, they just like came up on me. I never had to submit a CV anywhere. Like when I worked at CVS, that was just because I was shopping for makeup, and I came back and like, hey, you're guys looking for a job, like someone to be technician? They're like, yeah. I'm like, all right. Then I got started on Monday, and then like for Walmart, he like recruited me, so they never really asked for all those things. I just got like really lucky both times.
Dude, it's so funny. You're telling your story about CVS. For me, it was just like I saw my friend back there, and she's like, hey, do you want a pharmacy job? I was like, not really, but I'll try it.
Yeah, that's like essentially what happened. You just gotta ask sometimes, and things happen.
Yeah.
But
so you basically just figured it out along the way and stuff.
Figured it out along the way. I did some research on what it needs to be. Then I submit it, and then you just wait until someone emails you back. Then once you get the emails back, you go to your interviews, and then you rank the programs that you like based off of the interview. So go on the interview, you're like, oh, I like this place the most, and then I like this place and like this place. And then the program does the same thing. The program's like, oh, I like Nancy the most, and then I like this person, and then I like that person. And then they have like this computer algorithm that figures out like who goes where.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Also, like we were talking about like location, whether that's like a huge factor for you, but you said like during the pre-interview you said it wasn't, right?
No, I'm not geographically tied. So like I don't have to stay in Ohio. I don't have any kids. I don't have a house or anything. So that's a lot of times those practical things are why people don't pursue residency, or they're limited to just the options that are around them because they've already settled. Their like kids are in school or whatever it is that's going on. They like can't leave. So it limits your options. That doesn't mean there's like no option out there, but I was able to spread my wings a little bit further and like up my chances.
Yeah. And then you ended up in California.
I ended up in California. It's crazy.
Yeah. So you earlier we were talking about like some of the soft skills and stuff. Were there any like resources and stuff that you ever looked at, books that you read or anything that helped kind of grow that? Or was it like the School of Hard Knocks you learned on the street and shit?
I didn't really learn on the streets, but yeah, I did learn through like life experience. I didn't really the only books I really enjoy reading are like romance novels. They're not going to really tell me anything. It's just I just like to read them.
I think, but honestly, I think even romance novels, you learn a lot about the relationships between people and stuff.
Yeah, I guess we can put it that way.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I learned.
Although I can't read that shit, man. That shit, like, oh my God.
Yeah. I used to be embarrassed to like read them. I was like, now I have a Kindle. No one knows what I'm reading. But I mean, I think the soft skills you learn when you work, and I think that was kind of why I got my residency too, was I had a lot of work experience. And there are things that you really learn when you're at like the job, like really valuable skills like conflict resolution. Like you can't learn that unless you're in a conflict all the time, right? And I feel like in community pharmacy settings, like people are always mad, they're always like frustrated and X, Y, and Z. So you have to like know how to like calm them down a little bit.
How do you do that? Let's say if I'm a pissed off patient, how do you kind of handle that conflict resolution?
Well, I always apologize. Like, whatever, even though it's not my fault, and I know a lot of pharmacists won't do this, like, they won't apologize for things that they know it's not their fault. I don't really mind apologizing because I know, like, it doesn't break me down as a person or anything. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, it's not a big deal to me. And then a lot of times just making sure, like, whatever it is you have to say to not let them think. So they know that won't happen again next time. It's like super important. And then like the thing that I learned is like never try to like pretend like you understand their situation. Just be like, oh, I can see you're upset. Just be like, oh, I understand why you'd be like really pissed right now. Be like, oh, you know, I can see you're upset and like I really apologize about this. Like next time I'm gonna talk to them, make sure that this doesn't happen again. Like I'm getting this ready for you right now. Like give me like 5 minutes, right? And then you actually have to prioritize them. Like a lot of times like the execution falls through, right? We tell them like, I'm gonna get it ready right now, and then we forget about them. Right. And then it gets them even more mad. So I think that's like a huge thing about pharmacy, is really being a person of your word. Because as soon as your word doesn't fall through, like you tell them 20 minutes and it's still not done, like that's when people get mad. And one thing that we always have control over is always maintain that stream of like keeping them in the loop. I think that's so important. Like everybody understands shit happens, right? Like, oh yeah, we didn't get the fucking order today, or I don't know, like just random things just sort of happen. But letting them know and keeping the patient updated is like a really important thing that I found that in my practice. And a lot of times I feel like we don't give them realistic expectations. We're like, oh yeah, like come back in 10 minutes or like 15 minutes, because we know like a wait time shouldn't be any longer than like 15-20 minutes. And then we automatically tell them that. However, we don't take into account like, oh, I'm like 20 prescriptions behind, right? Is it really gonna be 15-20 minutes? You gotta tell them like, no, even though it will upset them initially, but at least they know they can at least go about their day and like come back when it's convenient.
And I think it's like important for them to know that too, because they have autonomy to choose wherever they want, you know? So if like, I'm always like advocating that we be their best advisors, you know? We're their trusted advisors. We like, even though it might mean going to a different competition, we're just trying to really improve their lives and stuff like that too. So that's very interesting that you mentioned that, you know? Let's see. Is there anything else I want to talk about?
I don't
know. I'm trying to think. I think I've pretty much milked the pharmacy stuff. How do you feel after talking about all this pharmacy stuff with me?
I mean, I think it feels good. I think it's nice to kind of put out there that you don't have to be like the best person in the world to like, get a residency. I mean, I think if you're hungry for knowledge and you like want to learn, like residency is the way to go. And especially if you have any inkling that you want to do it, you might as well just do it because you're gonna regret it like the whole time. Like, what if you get like a position and you're just like just living every day, like not really enthused. You're like, oh man, like what if I did try for a residency or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, but even if it wasn't for you, you could like bomb all the residency interviews, but then end up getting positions that you really enjoyed. So again, it's like a two-way street, but it's always regrettable if you don't try.
Yeah, that's true. I could definitely relate on that because sometimes I talk with my friend Brian and stuff, and I'm just like, damn, I wonder what I would do if I like went back and did residency. And like once you get to a certain point, you get comfortable with like the money you make and stuff. And yeah, you're right. Sometimes we do sort of feel that like hint of regret and stuff. But it's probably one of the reasons why, because I didn't do a residency, why I'm doing like YouTube now and stuff. You know?
Yeah, see, it's always pot of gold.
Yeah,
Man.
right. Anyways, I guess that is the end of the interview. If you guys got any Mudda questions, you can leave a comment below because Nancy doesn't have any social media.
No,
you don't even have Instagram?
I don't have Instagram. I have like a Facebook and then have a Snapchat. Everything else, like if you know me, you know where to find me.
What? Why don't you have an Instagram or anything?
I don't know, because if I got an Instagram, I feel like I would take pictures of food, but I get too excited that I start eating it before. Like I rarely remember to take pictures of food. So I was like, I can't do that. And I feel like kind of narcissistic taking pictures of myself all the time. I do it on like Snapchat. I'm like, oh, like look at these filters. But I don't know. I feel like having Instagram would like solidify that narcissistic streak or something. And then I gotta like back out. Or just be a bunch of pictures of my dog.
That's fine. So you can't follow her on Instagram because she has no Instagram. No. But just leave a comment below and maybe next time I will have her on another video. But thank you, Nancy. It's been like honestly awesome to get like a resident like in my place. Like I always do like these Skype like shitty ass quality videos, but it's cool to actually get a high def video and like really get a sense of the reality and expectations of like a community resident, you know. So I think you offered a lot of great points. One of the points was that you don't need a killer GPA to get a residency. And like soft skills are fucking important. And I think that's great. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube shit. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Bye.